A stranger's hand. Maya didn't expect to cry in public, but there she was, standing alone at the London airport, her eyes filled with tears, and her hands shaking as she held the handle of her suitcase. People passed by her, smiling couples, laughing children, rushing businessmen, but no one noticed the broken girl in the corner. Then something strange happened. A man suddenly walked up to her. Without a word, he gently took her hand. Maya froze. Her first instinct was to pull away, to scream maybe, but she didn't. The man had calm, kind eyes. He didn't look threatening. His hand was warm, steady. "Trust me," he whispered. "Just walk with me." Before she could think twice, her feet moved. She followed him through the crowd as if they knew each other, as if he had every right to lead her somewhere safe. Her mind was confused, but her heart felt something she hadn't felt in a long time, a sense of peace. After a few minutes, the man stopped near a quiet corner by a cafe. He let go of her hand. "I'm sorry," he said. "You looked like you needed help." Maya blinked, still shocked. I did." He nodded. "You were crying." Maya touched her face. It was wet. She hadn't even noticed. "Who are you?" she asked. "I'm Daniel," he said with a soft smile. "And you, Maya?" Daniel smiled again. "It's nice to meet you, Maya." There was a short silence between them. Maya didn't know what to say. She was still trying to understand what just happened. "You looked like someone who didn't want to be alone," Daniel said gently. He wasn't wrong. Maya had left everything behind, her family, her fiancé, and the life that had turned into a painful mess. She had landed in a new country with no plan, no friends, and no idea what to do next. "I'm sorry for grabbing your hand like that," Daniel continued. "I just saw you standing there, and I don't know. It felt like you needed someone." Maya gave a small smile. "You're right, I did." He pointed toward the cafe nearby. "Would you like to sit down, maybe talk, or just have some tea?" Normally, Maya would say no. She never trusted strangers. But there was something different about Daniel, something safe, something warm. She nodded. They sat down at a small table. Daniel ordered coffee. Maya asked for tea. At first, they just talked about small things, the weather, the flight, the airport. But slowly, Maya started to open up. She told Daniel about how her father's business had failed, how they lost their house, how her mother became silent, almost invisible, and how her fiancé, the man she was supposed to marry, walked away when things got hard. "I sold my ring to buy this ticket," she said quietly. "I thought maybe starting fresh in London would fix everything. But now that I'm here, I feel more lost than ever." Daniel didn't say much. He just listened, and that made Maya feel heard for the first time in months. "You know," he finally said, "sometimes we have to lose everything before we find what we really need." Maya looked at him. "That sounds nice, but it doesn't feel true, right?" "Now," he gave a gentle smile. "It will." Just as she started to feel calm again, Daniel leaned in a little closer. "Don't turn your head," he whispered. "But I think someone is watching you." Maya's eyes widened. "What?" "Behind you," Daniel said. "Red jacket, tall guy. He's been looking over here again and again. I saw him earlier too, near the baggage area." Maya felt her heart race. She didn't want to believe him, but the fear in her chest told her he was right. "What do we do?" she whispered. "Just stay calm. Finish your tea. Then follow me again, slowly." They stood up a few minutes later and started walking. Maya kept her eyes forward, but she could feel the tension growing inside her. Daniel led her away from the main crowd, through a narrow hallway. They passed a cleaning cart and a security door. Daniel seemed to know exactly where he was going. He tapped a code into a keypad next to the door, and it opened. Inside was a dimly lit corridor, quiet, empty. "Where are we?" Maya asked. Daniel looked serious now. "Just a staff passage. We'll wait here for a few minutes, then I'll take you somewhere safe." Maya's mind was spinning. Who was that man in the red jacket? Why was he watching her? And more importantly, how did Daniel know about this hidden route? She stared at the man who had held her hand just 30 minutes ago. Something about him still felt safe, but now a new question burned in her mind. Who exactly was Daniel? The man in the red jacket. Maya stood in the quiet hallway, her heart pounding in her chest. The door had closed behind them, and the noise of the airport disappeared. For a moment, everything was silent, too silent. Daniel looked calm. He leaned against the wall, listening carefully, his eyes scanning the dim corridor. Maya finally spoke. You said someone was watching me. Why would anyone do that? I don't even know anyone here. Daniel looked at her with concern. Sometimes people don't need to know you to follow you. She felt a chill run down her spine. Do you think he followed me from the plane? Daniel shook his head. No, I saw him near baggage claim. He wasn't on your flight. Then how? I don't know yet, he said quietly. But he wasn't just casually looking. He was focused on you. Maya looked down at her hands. They were shaking. I should have stayed home, she whispered. Daniel's voice softened. But you didn't. That means you were brave. And now, you're not alone. Maya looked up at him. Why are you helping me? He gave a small smile. Because someone once helped me the same way, and I never forgot how it changed everything. She didn't ask more. Something in his eyes told her this wasn't the time. Daniel checked his watch. Let's wait a few more minutes, then head to the other side of the terminal. I know a safer way out. You know these back routes too well, Maya said with a half smile. Are you secretly airport staff? Daniel chuckled softly. Not quite, but let's just say, I've spent a lot of time here. Enough to know things most people don't. She didn't know if that answer comforted her or made her more curious. A few minutes later, they moved again, walking quietly through a maintenance hallway. The lights flickered above them, and every sound felt louder than it should. They passed a locked utility closet and turned left down a narrow set of stairs. Finally, Daniel stopped at a side door that opened near a small taxi parking area outside the airport. From here, you can take a cab into the city, he said. Or, if you're not ready to go alone, I can walk with you a little farther. Maya looked at the street beyond the glass. London was waiting, cold, unfamiliar, and wide open. She hesitated. Where are you going? I have a place not far from here, he said. It's not much, but it's safe. She bit her lip. Her gut was full of doubt and fear, but something about Daniel's presence made her feel steady. Okay, she said at last. Just for a little while. They exited through the side gate and took a quiet path that led away from the airport. The city buzzed in the distance, but the road they walked on was lined with trees and old buildings. The air smelled like rain. As they walked, Maya asked, So who are you, really? Daniel smiled but didn't answer right away. I used to be a journalist, he finally said. I worked in dangerous places, war zones, corrupt cities. I've seen things most people only read about in newspapers. Maya raised an eyebrow. And now I help people disappear. She stopped walking. What? Daniel turned to face her. Not criminals, victims, women running from abusive relationships, men escaping dangerous debts, people who need a second chance, a new name, a new life. Maya stared at him, speechless. He continued, I don't do it for money. I do it because I was once one of them. And someone helped me vanish when my own life fell apart. Maya's voice was low. Is that what you think I need? A new identity? I don't know yet, he said. But the man watching you, that wasn't random. And you didn't tell me everything, did you? Maya froze. A flash of guilt crossed her face. Daniel didn't pressure her. He just waited. Finally, she whispered, I wasn't just running from heartbreak. I was running from something else. She paused, then took a deep breath. My ex-fiancé, not who he pretended to be. When my father's business went bankrupt, I found out the real reason. Someone had been stealing from our accounts for months. It was him, my fiancé, and when I confronted him, he threatened me. Daniel's expression darkened. I tried to report him, but he had connections. Suddenly, no one believed me. My friends disappeared. My family told me to stay quiet. So I ran. And now you think he sent someone after you? Daniel asked. Maya nodded slowly. I didn't think so at first, but now. Daniel took a deep breath. You were right to be afraid, but now you're not alone. He pulled out a small black phone from his jacket. Not a smartphone, something old-fashioned, untraceable. I'm going to make a call, he said, to someone who can help us find out who that man in the red jacket really is. Maya looked around nervously. Do you think we're still being followed? I don't know, Daniel replied, but we'll find out soon. He handed her a piece of paper. This is a fake name, a temporary ID. If something happens, or we get separated, you go to the address on the back and ask for a woman named Ruth. She'll know what to do. Maya held the paper tightly. Why are you doing all this for me? She asked again. Daniel looked at her, eyes soft but serious. Because you remind me of someone I couldn't save. Ruth's door. Maya held the small piece of paper Daniel gave her like it was her last hope. The name written on it, Anna Thompson, didn't feel like her, but she understood the reason. A new identity, a way to stay hidden. On the back of the paper was an address written in neat handwriting, 12 Hadley Lane, South Ealing. Daniel looked around the street carefully before speaking again. "You'll stay with Ruth tonight," he said, "just for safety. I'll come check on you in the morning." Maya felt a jolt of panic. "You're not staying?" Daniel gave a soft smile. "It's better if we split up for now. The man in the red jacket may be looking for both of us. We don't want to lead him to Ruth." "But I don't know her," Maya whispered. "What if she doesn't let me in?" "She will," Daniel replied. "She owes me her life." Without saying more, he waved down a passing taxi. Maya climbed in. Daniel leaned into the window before it pulled away. "Whatever happens tonight, don't open the door for anyone unless they say the code word." "Code word?" Maya asked. "Bluebird." She nodded, her chest tightening. As the taxi drove off, Maya kept looking through the back window until Daniel disappeared from view. For the first time since arriving in London, she felt truly alone. The city lights passed by in a blur. Her mind was racing about Daniel, her past, and the man in the red jacket. Could it really be someone her ex sent? Was she in that much danger? 30 minutes later, the taxi pulled up in a quiet neighborhood. The houses were old but clean, with hedges trimmed neatly and small lamps glowing on porches. She got out and walked to house number 12. It was a brick house with dark blue windows and ivy creeping up the side. Her hand trembled as she rang the doorbell. Nothing. She tried again. After a few seconds, the door opened, just a little, not wide, just a crack. An older woman with sharp eyes and short silver hair peeked out. "Yes, I'm Anna," Maya said, remembering the name. "Daniel sent me." The woman's eyes narrowed. "What's the word?" Maya swallowed. "Bluebird." The woman opened the door wider. "Come in." Maya stepped inside, her heart still pounding. The house smelled like old books and lavender. It was quiet, too quiet, and felt almost frozen in time. "I'm Ruth," the woman said. "You must be in trouble." Maya nodded, but said nothing. Ruth didn't press her. She led Maya into a small sitting room. There were 2 cups already on the table, one still steaming with tea. "I had a feeling I'd get a visitor tonight," Ruth said as she sat down. You did?" Ruth gave a dry smile. "Daniel only calls when something serious is happening. That boy never rests unless the world's on fire." Maya looked around the room. There were pictures on the wall, old black and white ones, some military medals, and a framed photo of Ruth and a man in uniform. "My husband," Ruth said, noticing Maya's gaze. "He passed long ago. Daniel helped me when I couldn't help myself." She paused. "You don't need to tell me everything, but whatever you're running from, you're not the first, and you won't be the last." Maya felt her eyes sting with tears. She hadn't cried since the airport, but now, in this stranger's warm living room, her walls were cracking. "I didn't know who else to trust," Maya whispered. "Everything in my life fell apart so quickly, and now someone may be following me. I don't even know why I'm being hunted." Ruth looked at her calmly. "That's what fear does. It confuses the truth, but it also teaches you who you really are." That night, Maya slept in a small guest room. The bed was old but soft. She stared at the ceiling for a long time, wondering if Daniel was okay, wondering if someone was outside watching the house. But exhaustion finally won. She drifted off, to sleep. 3:42 a.m. A sound. Soft, barely there, but enough to wake her. She sat up, listening. There it was again, a creak, like a footstep on wood. She climbed out of bed and tiptoed to the door. The hallway was empty. The house was still, but something felt wrong. She moved toward the living room and saw a figure standing at the front window. It was Ruth. She was holding a small handgun. Maya's breath caught in her throat. Ruth turned slowly. "Don't panic," she said quietly. But someone was just at the gate. Maya whispered, "Did you see who?" Ruth nodded once. "Red jacket." Shadows from the past. Maya's heart dropped. Red jacket. She stepped closer to Ruth, who stood calmly by the window, her eyes focused on the front gate, like a soldier ready for battle. "He's just standing there," Ruth whispered, "not moving, watching the house." Maya peered around her shoulder. A tall man stood near the gate, his face hidden by the shadows. But the red jacket glowed faintly under the streetlight, like a warning. "What do we do?" Maya asked. We wait, Ruth said firmly. If he tries to come in, he won't get far. Maya looked at the small pistol in Ruth's hand. You really know how to use that? Ruth gave her a quick glance. I was a military nurse for 12 years. I've faced worse than one coward in a jacket. But Maya wasn't so sure. Her legs felt weak. Her hands were shaking again. Her thoughts raced. Was he just watching, waiting, or planning something? And then, the man moved. Not toward the door, but down the street. He turned and disappeared around the corner. Gone, Ruth said. Should we call the police? Maya asked, almost breathless. Ruth shook her head. No good. If this man's connected to what you told Daniel, then the police might already be part of the problem. Maya nodded slowly. That's what Daniel said to... They stood in silence for a moment. Then Ruth stepped back and drew the curtains closed. We'll keep the lights off for a while, she said. And you, try to rest. Tomorrow, Daniel will come. Maya didn't sleep much after that. Every creak in the house made her jump. Every car passing outside made her heart skip out by sunrise. Her eyes were heavy, but her mind was sharper than ever. She needed answers. The next morning Daniel arrived, just after 7 a.m. No knock, just 3 light taps, followed by the word, Bluebird. Ruth opened the door. Daniel stepped in, looking tired but alert. His jaw was tight. He was here, Ruth told him immediately. Red jacket. Just after 3 a.m. Daniel nodded. I thought so. He was seen near the bus depot too. This guy's not just watching, he's tracking her. He turned to Maya. Are you okay? Maya nodded, but her face said otherwise. Daniel sat at the small kitchen table, pulled out his old black phone, and placed it on the table. I called someone last night, a man I trust. He ran the airport footage, tracked our guy's movements. He pulled out a photo printed on thin paper, slightly blurry. It was a close-up of the man in the red jacket. His face now clear. Maya gasped. I've seen him before, she said, her voice dry. He worked with my ex. He used to handle deals, blackmail, debt collection. Ruth frowned. So it's true. He's not just a stalker. He was sent. Maya sat down. Why now? Why follow me all the way here? Daniel leaned forward. Because your ex didn't just steal money. He's part of something bigger. And you saw something or heard something that he can't risk getting out. Maya's eyes widened. She thought back to her last days before running. There had been something strange. A phone call her fiancé had taken in the middle of the night. He had stepped outside to take it, but she had listened from the window. I heard him say something that made no sense at the time, she said. Slowly he said, if she finds out about Cyprus, we're all done. Daniel's face changed. Cyprus, yes, Maya said. Why? What does it mean? Daniel stood up and began pacing. Years ago, I was working on a story about a shell company based in Cyprus. It was used to hide illegal transfers, money laundering, bribes, government payoffs. But before I could publish anything, I was silenced. Threats. My sources vanished. I lost everything. He stopped and looked at her. I never knew who was behind it. Until now. You think my ex-fiancé is part of it? I think he's one of many, Daniel said. And they're scared of exposure. You, Maya, are a loose thread. If you pull it even by accident, everything could come undone. Maya sat still, her hands in her lap. She had never asked to be part of something this dangerous. She just wanted the truth, justice for her family, peace for herself. What do we do now? She asked. Daniel looked at Ruth. They exchanged a glance. I have a contact, Daniel said. A journalist who's still working, still brave. If we can get enough proof, we can go public. But it's risky. They'll come after you harder. I don't care, Maya said suddenly. Her voice shook, but her eyes were strong. I've been running long enough. If there's a way to stop them, I want to try. Daniel nodded, proud of her courage. Ruth stepped forward. You'll need a place to stay, somewhere safer. I have a cabin up north, hidden. No one knows about it, not even my neighbors. Let's go, Maya said. Later that day they packed quickly. Ruth gave Maya a backpack with essentials, clothes, a burner phone, and something Maya didn't expect, a small silver locket. It belonged to my daughter, Ruth said softly. She died young, but she was brave like you. Maya held it, gently. Thank you. Daniel rented a car using false documents. By evening, they were on the road, leaving London behind. Maya sat in the back, watching the city disappear. But just as they passed the last gas station before the motorway, Daniel spotted something in the side mirror, a red jacket, a man on a motorbike. Following them, the cabin and the chaser road ahead was long and empty, lined with trees that stretched high into the sky. Maya kept glancing through the back window, her heart pounding harder every time she spotted a shadow or a flash of color. Daniel's voice broke the silence. "He's still following us." Maya turned to look again. Far behind, nearly blending into the twilight, was the motorbike, the man in the red jacket. Ruth sat beside Daniel in the passenger seat, her eyes steady. "He's not giving up." Daniel's grip on the steering wheel tightened. "We'll lose him. Once we hit the back roads through the forest, it'll be harder for him to keep track." "But what if he does?" Maya asked, her voice tense. "What if he's not just following? What if he's planning to end this?" Daniel met her eyes. "In the rearview mirror, then we end it first." Maya didn't respond. She wasn't used to this world of secrets and danger. A week ago, her life was calm, or so she thought. Now, every hour brought something more terrifying than the last. They turned off the main road onto a narrow, winding path leading into a dense forest. Trees closed in around them, and soon there were no more streetlights, just the headlights cutting through the dark. The cabin appeared like something out of a forgotten painting, small, wooden, tucked between trees. It looked old, maybe abandoned, but smoke curled from the chimney. "He's not here yet," Daniel said as he pulled the car round back. "Let's get inside and prepare. We don't have much time." Inside the cabin smelled like pine and earth. It had 2 rooms, a living area with a fireplace, and a back room with 2 small beds. Ruth went straight to the kitchen, checking drawers and cupboards for anything useful. "I kept some supplies here years ago," she said. "Still got a few tools and a hunting knife. Should do." Daniel pulled out his laptop from his bag and set it on the table. "I have the encrypted files from the Cyprus accounts. I downloaded them last night after tracking Maya's fiancé's contacts. But I need time to decrypt them. That's what they're trying to stop." He turned to Maya. "You still want to go through with this?" She nodded. "I'm scared, but yes, I want them exposed. I want the truth out." Daniel smiled faintly. "Good, because there's more you need to know. A hidden truth." He took a deep breath before speaking. "I didn't just meet you at the airport by accident." Maya froze. "What do you mean?" Daniel looked down at the table. 3 years ago, I was assigned to investigate your ex. Not for the media, for a private security firm that helps track financial crimes. Your name came up because you were engaged to him. I was told to get close to you. Observe. That's why I was at the airport." Maya stared at him, her face pale. "So, it was all planned." "At first," Daniel said quickly. "Yes, but after 5 minutes with you, it changed. You were kind, you were honest, and the way you helped that little girl who lost her teddy at the gate, that wasn't a woman connected to crime. That was someone good, stuck in something bad." He stood and walked toward her. "I knew then I couldn't just spy on you. I wanted to protect you." Maya stepped back, hurt, flashing in her eyes. "You lied to me." "I didn't mean to," he said, voice breaking. "I've regretted it ever since. But now I'm here, risking everything, not because of a job, because I care." Silence filled the cabin. Ruth stepped in quietly, sensing the tension. "There's no time for anger now," she said gently. "The man in the red jacket, he's coming." The storm breaks just as she finished speaking. The sharp sound of a motor cut through the trees. Daniel rushed to the window. "He's here." Maya's fear turned to something colder, resolve. She walked to the door and locked it. Ruth handed her a flashlight and whispered, "We're not helpless." Daniel grabbed his small pistol from his bag and signaled them to stay quiet. Footsteps crunched outside on the dried leaves. Knock, knock, knock. No one spoke. Then a voice, calm, too calm, spoke from behind the door. "Open up. I'm not here to hurt you. I just want the files." Daniel whispered to Maya, "He knows." The man outside knocked again, louder this time. "You don't want to make this harder than it needs to be. We can do this clean, or we can do it messy." Daniel gestured to the back door. "Ruth, take Maya and go through the woods. Follow the trail behind the cabin. It'll lead to an old ranger station. I'll hold him off." Maya shook her head. "No, you can't face him alone." "I'll be fine," Daniel said, forcing a smile. "Just go." But before they could move, the door burst open with a loud crash. The man in the red jacket stepped in, tall, cold-eyed, a gun in his hand. Maya gasped. Daniel moved fast. He tackled the man, and the two fell to the floor, struggling for control of the weapon. Ruth grabbed Maya's hand. Now, they ran out the back, into the dark woods, branches scratching their faces, breath catching in their throats. Behind them, they heard a gunshot, then silence. The truth that set her free. Maya's breath came fast as she and Ruth ran deeper into the forest. Behind them, the silence was deafening. No second gunshot, no footsteps, just the wind whispering through the trees, and the weight of one terrifying thought: was Daniel still alive? Ruth slowed near a fallen tree and crouched down. We have to wait. We don't know if he won. Maya dropped beside her, her heart pounding like a drum. I shouldn't have left him. You had no choice, Ruth said, gripping her shoulder. You're the key. If something happens to you, all of this was for nothing. Maya clenched her fists. But if he's gone, she couldn't finish the sentence. Minutes passed, maybe 10, maybe 30. It felt like hours. Then a sound: crunching leaves. Slow steps approaching. Ruth raised her hunting knife, motioned for silence. A figure appeared through the trees. Maya's heart stopped. Daniel. He stumbled forward, one hand pressed to his side. Blood stained his shirt. But he was walking. He was alive. Maya ran to him, catching him as he dropped to his knees. You're hurt. He's gone, Daniel said through gritted teeth. I disarmed him, knocked him unconscious. But he stabbed me before he went down. Ruth checked the wound, deep but clean. We need to get you to the ranger station. There's a first aid kit there, with Maya supporting one side and Ruth on the other. They made their way through the woods. 2 hours later, inside the abandoned ranger station, Ruth worked quickly to clean and wrap Daniel's wound. Maya sat beside him, holding his hand. He could have died, she said quietly. Daniel looked at her. But I didn't, and now we finish this. He opened his laptop, fingers trembling but determined. The files are we have names, transfers, offshore accounts, all tied to the Cyprus operation. Your ex is just one of 20 people involved. Maya felt a storm inside her. Fear, relief, anger, purpose. They'll come after us again, she said. Daniel nodded. Yes, but not if we're faster. He clicked a few keys and sent everything, every document, every name, every secret, to 5 major news agencies and 1 global anti-corruption organization. It's done, he said. Now the world will know. A week later, London. Maya stood in front of a small crowd of reporters, her hands slightly shaking but her voice steady. They told me to stay quiet. They said it was safer to disappear. But the truth matters more than safety. Behind her, Ruth and Daniel watched proudly. The Cyprus financial scandal made headlines across the world. Arrests had begun. Investigations launched in 3 countries, and Maya's name was no longer a target. It was a symbol. Daniel's story ran on multiple news channels. His reputation as a journalist was restored, but more importantly, he was respected for exposing a network no one dared touch before. And Ruth, the quiet hero, disappeared from the spotlight, just the way she liked. She returned to her quiet life, satisfied that she had done something good with the skills the world had once forgotten. 1 month later, Maya stood at the same airport where her story began. But this time, she wasn't lost. She was flying to visit her mother, who had been found in a hospital abroad weeks earlier. She had been alive all along, hidden by fear, silence, and the manipulation of Maya's ex-fiancé. I'm going to see her, Maya whispered, a smile on her face. Daniel stood beside her, still recovering, but strong. She's going to be so proud of you. Maya turned to him. And you? He smiled. I'm just lucky I got to take your hand that day. She looked at him for a long moment. Do you regret lying to me back then? Daniel's smile faded slightly. Every day, but I'll spend the rest of my life making up for it, if you'll let me. She didn't answer with words. She took his hand again, this time, by choice. Final reflection. Maya's journey had started with fear. A stranger's hand at an airport, a mystery too big to face alone. But what she learned was this: sometimes, the worst moments lead us to the people we need most. And even when trust is broken, truth can heal. The world didn't change overnight, but Maya did. She was no longer running. She was walking forward, stronger, wiser, and never alone. The end.